Okay, so hello everyone, welcome on this my presentation. I was about to begin with a joke that this is the last presentation for this day, so we have enough time to go through my 70 slides, but then I was informed that in fact this is not the last presentation, so I had to redo the slides to fit for like 20 slides. So let's start. First, just a little introduction. My name is Ondrej Holecek. These are some contacts if you want to anything get from me. And I am a part of SUSE Multi-Linux Manager Hexagon squad. Here I will do a little side note because I was also asked about this before, at least twice during the last year. What is Hexagon squad? So given that this is also for our engineering conference, this is how we organized inside SUSE Multi-Linux Manager team. There are like 20 or so developers, so we don't work in one huge group on some like on big meetups and so on. We organize ourselves into a little more squads. We have 5 of them. So we have Hexagon, we have Naika, we have Yon, we have Vega, and I don't know, maybe I missed some. Orion, yes, Orion one. And then QA is separate. So each of these squads have different features are responsible for different features and so on. So, for example, if you are in a squad in a Slack and want to ask someone or are looking for a SUSE manager or SUSE Multi-Linux Manager channels, you can also see individual squads there. So, just a side note. Next, what I have to do is disclaimer that the things in this presentation sometimes or some occasions I may had some personal feelings in this, and these slides were not approved or not fact checked with other team members. So consider this is my opinion here, and if anything, the blame is on me, not the rest of the development team. So, what is SUSE Multi-Linux Manager? Do anyone knows the SUSE Manager, SUSE Multi-Linux Manager here? I guess some people heard about it. So, but anyway, I will do the quick recapitulation because I had this talk last year. So this slide is actually from the last year as well, with one important distinction. So we have a patch management. This is the original thing with SUSE Manager, even that, and before the spacewalk and Red Hat satellite thing, which we are based on. We also provide a package repository for downstream clients, and we have a content lifecycle management. I missed that last year, but this is actually a very important feature. This is actually one of the biggest sellers of our solution. What this does is basically you have a repository and you apply some filters onto it and create a new repository. Like you can select only specific package versions to be available for downstream clients, or only or force either specific or newer or older than something, or you want to completely remove some packages to be available from the repository and so on. So content lifecycle manager can do that, management do that. And it also provides you the option to have different environments like development, QA, production environments, and you can promote from one environment to another. So this is very important feature for Multi-Linux Manager. And all of the rest, like the image builder, can use it. So you can build images with some filtered out packages or with some specific versions or so what you want. Then we have AutoYast provider. We have built-in support to create AutoYast profiles, so kickstart profiles for Red Hat team, Red Hat OSs. Yes, given that it's Multi-Linux Manager, we also support plenty of other OSs, not only Lee and SLEs and SUSE systems, but also Red Hat, Debian, Ubuntu, Alma Linux, and Amazon, and a bunch of others. Part of us is also deployment server. We are using a cobbler project underneath it, so something which cobbler can do, we usually can do as well, but there are some limitations. some inventory keeping. You can add some nodes and addresses and so whatnot to the individual server registers. So if someone needs that, then we can provide this data in the UI. And of course, Salt Master, because everything is based on Salt in SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. And much more other features. You can find it in documentation. What we also consist of, we have one server, one or more servers. We have 0 or more proxies. Then we have retail brand server. This is basically a proxy, only differently under different SKU, and it is specifically for retailers. And we have Uni server and Uni proxy, which is actually our upstream. So we originally was a SUSE manager, then we basically created a Uni, which then Uni became our upstream. So this is the upstream version for community. Last year, when I was having this presentation, this is the SUSE Manager 5 containerization story. I was talking about how we switched from the basically bare metal installation to the containerized world. And that time, we had only one huge container, which contains everything. And with the proxy, we had 5 smaller. Basically, the proxy was how the containers basically meant to be used before, like single service containers without any init daemon and so on. However, server it's an init container. It has systemd inside and manages all the processes inside and so. I also talked about what the unit tools are. So unit tools are packages where we try to mix the old world when you install everything on bare metal with the containerization. The reason is that we have some of our users are not completely ready to move like for cloud native things and everything into the container. So we created these tools to help them and to hide some complexities. Like when you go for example, some upstream things like Nextcloud, you see how you install it. You have, okay, here you have a Docker file, or not Docker file, you have this Docker compose thing, or run these commands, and it will configure basically it by yourself, and you are good. So we hide this inside our MGR in the unit tools, which is MGR ADM, basically, where all of this is configuration is happening in a background, and you just call MGR ADM install or start stop and such. So it's basically helpers for our users. At the time, also no Kubernetes support for server, only proxy, and okay, migration was included, but only for servers that's needed. And today, I want to basically talk about the new features in 5.1. So this is the official one, which you can also find in the release notes for a beta currently, because we are still this is work in progress, but we had a feature freeze in beta 2, and this is what was finalized. So of course there are many bug fixes. I did not include them, but this is what we'll be talking about for today, except this client support. I guess it's not needed some more details. We just added support for new clients that can be onboarded to the SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. So let's go through this. So first feature, and this is basically continuing the containerization story of us. We managed to spin out one container. Not too much, but it turns out that all of these things has some further consequences when you try to spin out services from such a 20-year-old code base. So we started with what we thought is the easiest one. I think it is still the easiest one. So we started with a database. We already, in the previous containerization effort, we already added separate volumes for it, so this was fine. Initially, we wrote, of course, a new image for it. Everything worked okay. We based it on a Postgres 16 VCI image and based it, not use a VCI image because we opted to use different base static UIDs and group IDs. We opted to use what is in upstream. Upstream Postgres container image are using 999 for UID and GID, whereas in VCI at that time, or even at current time, it is dynamically as package is installed. The user is created, and then so it's usually static, but not guaranteed to be static. So we basically based our image on top of BCI Postgres 16. Not only added a static UID JIT, but we also did some modifications for the upgrades. The BCI container itself can you can pass it some SQL files for configuration when it's initializing a new database. But when the database is already initialized, it does not have any hooks for upgrades or something like that. So we added this thing. And nowadays, some of this may be in process to appear in the BCI, particularly the static host names, because we discovered later that we are not the only one who does this. So now maybe the Postgres 16 BCI image will also have static UIDs and JITs. And just now note, we have two databases for this. This is not anything complex, but we are providing two. We have one for production, like server itself, and another to gathering reports of the whole ecosystem. They have different access patterns. One is only for basically local network for the containers. Another one is accessible from the outside. What we also, the side goal of this containerization of the database is also that in the future we want to allow to use the cloud managed Postgres installation. And there is only one problem with what privileges this user will have. We are using a custom type since a long time, which for package versions and comparison of them, and it turns out that this is an issue. That for this you have to have additional privileges to be able to create this type. But fortunately, this is only needed for the initial installation, and then you can drop the privileges and work as is. So in a plan, near or mid or long future, not sure when, we plan to just allow managed Postgres instances. Next, we added a simple backup and restore. This is actually my doing. And what I did not really wanted to write is a new backup solution or backup tool. This is like with cryptography, you just don't write new things. You use what is already proved, and so this is mainly like a preparation step. In a previous version, we just have in documentation like here are the 16 volumes. Just take them and backup them and move them somewhere else. So this is a little cumbersome. Of course, you need to create some bash scripts and so on. Not only the backup is easy, but the restore is considerably more difficult. So we created this tool which use the Podman tooling for volumes. It's for volume export. For the images, the image store. It also exports and saves the Podman network information because we are, when we install it, we are creating our own Podman network. We are not using the default already created one. You can with some parameters, but by default, we create our new. And if there are some customizations, we want to preserve this. We also backup the secrets. Podman itself does not have any feature to back up the secrets itself. So also this only works with the files backend for the secrets, which are basically only um, security by obscurity, because it's stored just in base64 encoded string in some specific location. So this is our tool. Just basically, only thing it does is through the inspect, it matches the correct secrets to add together, store it in some location, target location, and of course in the restore, do the opposite and restore it. And then once you call it, you have one directory which contains everything. And on this directory, you actually use the real backup tool, like Rustic, rsync, Borg, or any other commercial solution. And on the restore, you just restore the directory from your backups, and then you call mgradm backup restore, and it will take this directory and restore it to the original locations and so on. And there is also ability to do partially damaged backup. Depends what is damaged. If this is backup of the database volume, that's a tough luck. But when, for example, systemd services are missing from the backup, or network can be created from the scratch, when the server's secrets are missing, that's a little difficult, but it still can be recovered. I will talk about later, and so on. So this is our approach, and this is new in 5.1. This hub online synchronization is basically inter-server sync versus version 3. Because we are having a little hard time with scaling up the performance of the system, so we agreed that it's easy for us to scale out. There's a possible to set up the SMLM architecture, that you have one central server, hub server, and then you have bunch of other servers called peripheral servers. And this thing is synchronizing from that you have the central server, which is connected to SCC and to other repositories and whatnot. It pulls all the packages, or builds the local repositories and so on. And then using this thing, you synchronize all the packages into your network, into your underlying managers. Can be also a security feature when you have like limited network access, so you have only one exposed machine and the rest are closed. And of course, saving bandwidth and whatnot. Currently, they support only packages. It's using the synchronization mechanism we already have built in. For future, we plan also the images and other potential objects. And because we opted to write this from scratch, this is written in Java, because previous version, ISS version 2, can synchronize everything. That means images, packages, configuration channels, whatever, and database. But it is, let's say, not optimally written. When you have a full database, we have users who, when they try to restore it, it is 3 to 4 days to restore some basic install, which is not optimal. Whereas this is much faster. Another interesting feature. This is a highly requested feature from us, and it is written by the same squad, which provides us highly used feature with the CLM. Before in 5.0 and before, you had some basic roles. So like you could be administrator, and you could be normal user and read-only user. And you can have multiple organizations, something not completely multi-tenant, because the repositories were shared across all of the organizations, but some limitation, some mimic of multi-tenant system. But when you were part of the organization, you had access to everything, at least read access. And this was not very optimal for everyone. So we added this role-based access control. We looked into how you can access individual things, individual points like listing systems, editing systems, listing images, and so on. And we created an access path, basically. They are just concatenated like URLs, basically, but with dots in it. So now we have like 700 access paths. We also namespace them together, so you can have bulk modification, like access everything from images, everything from software repositories or software channels, and so on. And you can assign read, write, or read or write levels, access levels for this authorization. This is still new. There are still some bugs to figure out. Basically, if sometimes, especially after testing, we discover that there are still some rules missing, and the default is to block it. So, fortunately, it's easy to spot. But this is very interesting to have, especially that you have now huge amount of access limit. How you can tune the access for different users. Okay, so health check tool. This is not sure how much it is inspired with other health check tools from OpenSUSE and SUSE ecosystem, but this is basically it's a standalone feature. You run it on top of basically provided a support config. You get a support config from our users, and run this health check tool on top of it. It spawns 3 or 4 containers. There is a Grafana, there's Loki, there is some 2 others which are used to parse logs and some other data. And eventually you just connect to the Grafana dashboard, and you see all of these. You see like loads and how much space there is, and bunch other characteristics. And there are also built in, I think, about 50 something rules, which alert you when something is wrong, like when are some oops in the logs, and when there are some other errors or something. So it automatically adds these triggers for you, and it's all standalone. So you can use it also on confidential things because it does not run on any cloud or any other server. It's running right on you and just on this support config. So there should be no information leakage. So I added a URL because this seems like very interesting thing for not only us, but generally L3 and so on and so on. And of course, it's quite easy to add new rules since it is on that Grafana things. Okay, and the improved proxy onboarding. Now it is possible in the web UI. You have a bunch of systems. Just click on the system and select Convert to Proxy. Before, it was a little more problematic. Like there was an issue. What you just at the beginning of the development of SUSE Manager 5 at the time, we thought that we don't have to have a registered machine as a proxy. For example, in like a Kubernetes scenario, it's not a salt minion. It's not registered to like a salt client and to the manager. So we didn't add hard dependency on it. Then it turns out that we actually want to have it. So now some people are confused. Do they at first create a proxy config and then onboard, or vice versa? Because when you do it in wrong order, you will need to do onboarding again because there is some authentication problem. And when you were creating a new proxy config, it was like you need to go through web UI, fill out some bunch of things which you like should already know, like the system should already know, and it was not very user friendly. The UX was not great. In this case, everything is in the web UI. You just select the system, click to create a proxy. The only thing you add is some details about certificate, because each proxy has its own server certificate on the Apache server. And so either we can generate it when you provide some details like the country, the OUs and all of these things or CNAMEs if there are any needed. Or you can use the third-party certificates and you just provide it so they are bundled in the config. And this thing actually connects to the existing to the onboarded system, downloads the correct packages which we have, install it as a correct product if it is missing, and then reboot the server, because usually our proxy are based on SLE Micro 5.5, and in this will be 6.1. In 5.1, similar, it is SL Micro 6.1. So of course, once you install the packages, we need to reboot and then start the containers and so on. So this thing is actually taking care of all of this and is much easier than previous mode. Okay, and the last thing is that we now also support the SLE 15 SP7, or will support as once this is released, as a host OS. There is still the question that we are running now all in containers, but so why we are limiting host OSs? The answer is that I guess from like historic perspective, originally it was that our QA did not wanted to add a green light if we did not test it on every supported thing, but of course testing on like 15 distributions is out of scope. So for now we just agreed that officially one is SL Micro 6.1. Also our VM images are based on SL Micro 6.1, but then supported is also SLE 15 SP7. Maybe in the future it will be decoupled, but we need to agree on how we will handle bug reports from these systems, like how we approach this. Yes, and it's true for both server and a proxy. Okay, so this was about what we have, what we planned, what we had in interlock and so on, and what we delivered in a beta. So, but what we didn't have in interlock and had to do? We basically completely redid the SSL, how we deploy the certificates and how we work with them. They come from when we added a database container, because we have this report database which also which is accessible from the external source. We want to have a certificate there, so we need to create a new server certificate for Postgres. Now we need to somehow deploy it to this thing, and this thing does not have it's basic container. It does not have many tools which we have in the server container. So we need to figure out some different thing, and we didn't want to install a bunch of scripts to all the containers. So we redid this, and we basically now move everything to these MGR tools and so on, and we are using Podman Secret. So Podman Secret now contains for the server certificates keys. They are mounted to the correct place. It's like for the server for the main container, also for the database container. Also, the CA is shared. The CA can be different between database container and this normal container, and also the redeployment when you need to refresh the certificates. You just recreate the secrets and deploy and restore the service, and that's it. Particularly when it's like 1 month, when the CA board agrees that in the future, like the server certificates will be issued like with 47 days validity or something like that in 2029. So we will need some way how to easily and quickly refresh the certificates. We do not support ACME yet. Not sure if we will or how we will approach it, but currently it's not. Yeah, the setbot can refresh the certificate locally, and then you just need to recreate the secrets from this file. So that's maybe for some future. Currently not supported. We also had to do, like many in the change of the CDN, but it was very quickly. It was like in 1 or 2 weeks. You didn't even notice that something is wrong. So this was done very quickly with the Orion team. Very good work. And then we had product rebranding. I noticed that 5.0 is SUSE Manager, 5.1 is SUSE Multi-Linux Manager, and this was a disaster. I mean, you can ask like why, what's wrong, what's the problem with branding? You just change the UI. The problem here is that it's not only in branding. When you onboard your client to a Multi-Linux Manager, you have all the repositories for the given system you have there, but you also have a client tools repository. And this client repository, we have a bunch of them for every different distribution. So we have for SLE, we have for Debian, for Red Hat, for all of these, we have individual repositories. And during the rebranding, all of these repositories had to be renamed for some reason. So it includes the work with SCC, because they need to change this. It includes a rework in our code. And ended up in that's such state that we were approaching deadline for feature freeze of the beta when this was happening. We changed our part, but the SCC was not done yet, and every QA, every testing, everything stopped because the client repositories did not work anymore, and it was like really close to feature freeze. So people gets really sweaty, like what's going on, and we can't continue with testing. Basically, now it's everything postponed. I am not claiming that everything is because of this, but this was really not very good, especially that we changed, or I don't know if we forced to, but we changed many things that I think they are not really required. Like in VM build images we have a Kiwi profile named we had named SUSE Manager 5, and now even the Kiwi profile is SUSE Multi-Linux Manager 5. Like why? Those things are not accessible by customer anyway, but yeah, it's changed. So this was really not very good, this part. Okay, so this basically are the extra features, and now some background info, or some early warnings. What's going on, what may happen, and what we need to watch out. We have now 5 containers for this MGR ADM. We have, of course, the server, we have the database, then we have standalone for the hub, the XMLRPC configure, like broker communication between hub servers. If there is a need, we have Saline, which is for introspection and observability of Southbus. And we have confidential computing attestation container separately. And now it started to feel like this, we are recreating like Podman Compose or Docker Compose, which I don't think we really should. And we are aware, but so far we do not have like completely clear idea how to move forward from what we designed without like scratching it. So, for example, for Kubernetes, once there is an work, we plan to not use the MGR ADM basically at all and do everything in operator and Helm charts and so on, but it's still work in the future. But with the Podman, this is something we need to watch out because we are on our track to re-implement Docker Compose. With this, we also have a little bit problem with the flags of this thing, because you must have to be able to set this content, the SSL certificates for different containers, image if you want, the PTFs, image tags, everything. So when now we have almost 200 flags you can specify on this command, and it is getting difficult like in implementing it, because we are sometimes forgetting to add this bunch of flags, this bunch of flags. So this is something we need to figure out how to avoid. And then we have, as I guess everyone, there are still problems with some team silos. Then basically we are workarounding many things. The UID GID system. I even talked before, like a couple months ago, whether this is okay, and I got the impression that that's that the BCI container will not change. Eventually, it seems like it would have changed if we pushed it, but instead we wrote a workaround. Okay, we don't have currently our own registry. So when we are shipping some containers like monitoring and so on, we package them as a RPM, as a workaround, instead of attaching some registry. And why we don't have registry? Because when we talked about to have a registry, there was talk, okay, hold on, maybe there will be something from the rest of the team. So we hold on, wrote a workaround, and just move forward this. So, but this is usual stuff. And the first one is actually not actually it's not completely problem was that there is in a group, when you want to select as default entry, and this entry begins with a number, it's automatically interpreted as you are trying to select this number of entity, but not the actual the name, by the name. And we reported the bug, but I yesterday noticed that we reported it to our product and not the base system. So this is not as problem. This is our problem here. But anyway, like everywhere, knowledge sharing is still a little can be improved. And a couple of things for end. If you are interested in this, unfortunately, since this is streamed also outside, this is only for SUSE people, SUSE employees, not so I apologize to our external viewers. Usually after the release, or just right around the release, we do supporters training on this Confluence. You can see the last year. This is basically a week of covering various topics in the detail. So anyone interested either can join or see the link for all the for recordings and slides and so on, and to improve this knowledge sharing outside. And we are also active in GCOC, Google Summer of Code. So we joined together with OpenSUSE organization. OpenSUSE received seven slots, and 3 of them are for Uni, which is basically the upstream for SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. And these are these 3 projects. So we have some AI-driven test selection. So this is the mandatory AI. We have containerization of Salt. But only just seems like the event, not the whole master. So we will see what will be the end result, and support for Ubuntu snap packages. We were also we were part of this part of GCOC also last year. I think one is still not yet matched, but the guy is still working on it. But otherwise, I think those were matched. So we are very successful with selecting students from GCOC. And quick note: the future. Yeah, I was about to say you about future, but then last week or 2 weeks ago, I saw a roadmap presentation, and it has like internal, and everything, and don't share it and so on in it. So no. I can tell you just like a couple of hints, like what may be. So of course we will continue containerization. Of course we will add the new clients. That's always happening. We will try to decouple more from the host OS, so it can be installed in other OSs, not only those 2, and of course the bug fixes. So this is a generic one. I think the date where the rest will be addressed will be, I don't know, in week 2, 3, I don't know. There is some planned presentation when once the roadmap will be finalized. Okay, and any questions? That's all from my side.
Yeah, two things. Well, first of all, about the container management, if it's on standard host, not in Kubernetes, a Podman has Quadlets.
Yeah.
That's basically a system services, and it has full support. And I think that's kind of the recommended way, and also I find it quite nice. So instead of Compose or some custom solutions, I would use Quadlets.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yes, we investigated Quadlets before, but at the time, so it is like 3 years ago, I think it was missing some features. It now works fine, but for now we did not rewrite it. And how the MGI ADM is doing is basically using the old methods. Basically, it writes a systemd service with the command line for Podman.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
3 years ago for Podman is very, very long time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still in rapid development.
Yes.
So now they work. It really did improve a lot.
Yeah.
And the other thing, IBS as well as OBS have a container registries nowadays, and the IBS one also has authentication. So I think that you may distribute your containers directly from IBS, and it will also work with SCC.
Yeah, this is not a like when you are online and you are installing online, that's fine. The issue why we are having RPMs are when you are in offline scenarios, like when you don't have direct access to the outside internet. And one thing is for the server itself, but then, for example, the monitoring containers are on clients, and these clients are vastly behind firewalls. They have no access to internet. Everything is through proxies and through from our servers. And we don't have ability to override the client registries. We can override the registry on the server, so on. And for the clients, so far we are using the RPMs. So we'll need something which is part of the SUMA or SMLM, and which can pull registry from, of course, this SCC or whatnot, and then distribute it to clients.
I see. The microphone there.
Okay. So we have 3 registries. We have the OBS registry, which is just the front end for the OBS project. We have the EBS registry, which is only internal, has no access control, but behind the VPN tunnel. And we have the SCC registry, and that has access control, but that is very simple registry, not a real registry. And you need to manually create a front end so that people can find and download it. So we are still waiting that the promised registry from ECM or wherever is coming.
Yes, exactly. That's the same state. Okay, any other question? If not, thank you, everyone. And since this is also on a YouTube, so please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Yes, yes.